be too far away. Dry conditions for qualifying as well. No signs of wet weather inbound to the racetrack. Now, main channel. See if we can't find it. There is the Elite Series stream. Game audio is game audio is working. Party audio is working. The stream's up. The chat's up. We're all good to go. That is absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone and welcome to round 9 of the PlayStation Elite Series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your lead commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Circuit of the Americas for the United States Grand Prix. Constructed in 2012 and designed by track-making Supremo Herman Tilke, COTA is a 5.51 kilometer 20-turn racetrack built to rekindle the relationship between USA and Formula One after the disastrous Grand Prix at Indianapolis in 2005. The layout features an interesting and wide variety of sections. There's a high-speed SS section in the first sector, long straights and heavy braking zones in the second, and tight hairpins coupled with fast sweepers in the third. As a result, a wide variety of car setup could be used for this event. High downforce will make the car faster in the first and third sectors, ideal for qualifying, whereas a low downforce setup will help drivers find time in the middle sector and with overtaking during the race. Speaking of which, the main overtaking spots to keep an eye out for are with the help of DRS, heading up the main straight into turn 1 and heading down the back straight into turn 12. We may see some passing as well into the hairpins of turn 10 and 15. Now, before we focus on qualifying, there is a bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Silverstone. Only a single incident report involving ACW and Silverfort. The verdict from the stewards was a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point for Silverfort. This will move Silverfort from P3 to P7 in the final results. In the Drivers' Championship, Marcus Costa is leading the way on 194 points, followed by Ferrari Pro on 155. 39 points separate the top two in the championship. P3 is Silverfort on 138, followed by last week's race winner Bags Liddell on 116. Rounding out the top 5 is Plevs on 113. Completing the top 10, we have Spicy on 96, ACW on 88, Pump on 78, Hillers on 73, and Vengeance rounds out the top 10 on 68 points. In the Constructors, Williams are leading on 262 points, followed by Ferrari on 194. It's quite a big gap between the top two in the Constructors, but there's still a fair few rounds to go. McLaren are just behind Ferrari on 191, only 3 points separating P2 and 3 in the standings. Mercedes-AMG are 4th on 184, followed by Aston Martin on 160. Then, did I say Aston Martin on 160? Or Red Bull Racing on 160? I lost track of myself there. Red Bull can't speak. Red Bull are on 160, Aston Martin are on 153, followed by AlphaTauri on 111, then Haas on 98, Alpine on 40, and Alfa Romeo at the bottom of the table on 24 points. Well, that's pretty much it in terms of news. We can now focus on qualifying, and I can introduce my co-commentator for tonight, who was once again KD1997. KD, considering you're a resident American, your view of this racetrack, I know personally, is generally pretty positive. But how do you find this racetrack in this year's game?
Well, for this year's game, well, thanks for having me again, by the way. But for this year's game, I find it nothing too different, to be honest. From what I've experienced a little bit, I haven't done, well, I've done maybe one race, but it was a social. But from qualifying perspective, the track feels a little bit more grippy, I guess, in a sense. I don't know why, it just feels more grippy. It doesn't, it's not obviously as fast like last year's cars, that's obvious. But it still feels like the same in terms of how the car feels and whatnot. But I think overall, though, I love this. Like I said, or like you said before, I have positive views about this racetrack. I really like it. It's one of my personal favorites because I'm pretty quick here, and also I find it very enjoyable in terms of like good racing as well.
Fair enough. I agree with your comment, Zach. It's a very accurate comment about the game.
Yes, thank you.
Of the racetrack, I don't know. I have an interesting relationship with Kota. As a driver, I'm not massively good here. A bit thanks to the pad, but generally speaking, I've just never had great luck around Kota. But from a commentating perspective, some of the most interesting races I've seen has been here at Kota, as Keegs has had a moment. Oh, and he's followed by, I think that might have been G-Force Zach in the Aston Martin, both spinning. Yep, it is G-Force Zach, spinning at the exit of turn 9. That's a corner that I've had plenty of trouble with in the past, very tricky area to get out of. But, yeah, from a commentating perspective, some of the best races I've ever seen happened right here in Austin. One of which happened last season in Pacific Tier 1. Just an absolutely bonkers race, bonkers finish. It was absolutely fantastic to watch. And with a 19-car field tonight, there's a fairly decent chance of a very, very interesting race. Or at least that's what I'm hopeful of. Hopefully I didn't just curse that with me saying those words, but I am hopeful of an interesting race here at Kota. But as it stands right now, ACW is sitting at the top of the table with a 1 minute 33.295. Championship leader Marcus Costa is in second with a 1 minute 33.344. Less than half a tenth of a second separating the top two at the moment. And just 7 thousandths behind Costa is his teammate Vengeance in P3. So already insanely close times at the top of the table in this qualifying session, but we've still got a long way to go as Roscoe completes his flying lap to set a 34.6. Plebs begins the flying lap. We'll ride on board with Mr. Race Spec, give you a guided tour of this 5.5 kilometre racetrack. Up into turn 1, steep uphill curve here. You have to be nice and late on the brakes. Not too late though, you don't want to miss the apex. Around turn 2, flat out through this right-hander and into the notorious S's, turns 3, 4. Cutting too much there, players. That was way too much. I know that. that was way too much.
Yeah, that's a common thing to do. Misjudging those apexes of the S's. Very, very easy to do.
Yeah, look. As someone who doesn't run Racing Line, that S section is a total nightmare. Actually, there are 2 races on this racetrack that are a total nightmare without Racing Line. Turn 3, the entry to the S's is one of them. The other is turn 19, the second last corner of the racetrack. Reason being is that both corners come after slight crests, like very small crests. As a result, the corner's completely blind. So you have no idea where the apex is to the corner. So you sort of have to guess where to turn in. With a Racing Line, you don't have to worry about that. You just follow where the line's telling you to go. Without it, though, you sort of have to use references around the racetrack to try and gauge where you need to turn in. So... But yeah, that's right. You and Zach have both won here in the Mercedes, haven't you?
Yeah, my championship here in Mercedes as well.
Yeah, that must have been a nice feeling for you, winning the US Grand Prix.
Yeah, hopefully, if I do show up for this coming race, hopefully I will retain that. But yeah,
we'll wait and see. As Hillers makes his way out of the triple right-hander and into turn 19. As I mentioned, it's a blind corner. That's quite blinding as well. The sun. It's very much in your eyes, and it is very bright. It's almost as if God himself is looking at you, like directly at you. It's quite a lot of light.
Yeah, and the fact that you're running no assist as well makes it even harder to judge where the braking zone even is into that corner.
Absolutely. So, yeah, those running without Racing Line, have fun. Or at least try to, as a bare minimum. Who started laps? Whitey started a lap. We're right on board with you, good sir. Currently P11 with a 34.8. He makes his way out to turn 1, down the hill into the flat-out right-hander of turn 2, now into the S's 7th gear, tucks it into turn 3, through 4, 5, then this sort of double apex right-hander of turn 6. This completes the first sector. Into turn 7, a bit of understeer there at 7, but he gets the car rotated just enough through 8. Into turn 9, have to be careful on the accelerator as a few drivers demonstrated a few minutes ago. Down towards turn 11, a potential overtaking spot during the race. You have to be quite committed into the corner to try and make it work, but it's definitely possible. And down the back straightaway, he has DRS wide open and heading down towards the biggest braking zone on the circuit, turn 12. Entry speed, Vengeance jumps up to pole position with a 33.1. Whitey makes his way into turn 12, up in 4th gear. 5th gear, back down to 4 for turn 13. Around turn 14, essentially a continuation of 13. And into this tight hairpin of turn 15, you can make moves because of how wide the drivers go into the corner. Leaves a window open down the inside. Exiting the triple right-hander, where you do have to be careful with a full fuel load in the car. Coming out to turn 19 and up towards the final corner, turn 20. 3rd gear, short shifting up to 4th. Avoid those sausage curves on the outside. Whitey jumps to P8 with a 34.2. Improved by quite a bit, I think by almost 6/10. So a healthy improvement there from Whitey.
You may have heard me, I don't know if you may have heard me like react to some other thing. I was looking at ACW. If you saw the yellow flags at Sector 2, he spun out facing backwards into the grass at turn 8, as he does a bit lawnmower at turn 12. Other Williams, by the way.
Oh dear. Well, he shouldn't worry too much. There's still plenty of time left in the session. We've got 6.5 minutes, so he should be able to get at least one more run in. His teammate Spicy is making his way up towards the middle sector split. We have a Red Bull, I think, pulling off into pit lane, bringing out yellow flags as Spicy crosses the middle sector split up by 2/10. With a 34.0, he needs to find a lot more time in the final sector to try and challenge the current pole sitter of Vengeance. As Spicy makes his way around, Costa now takes pole position by less than half a tenth. Not much separating the top 3, that's for sure. And ACW still has pace to find in that Mercedes-Benz. Around the final corner goes Spicy, up towards the line. And he found time. He improves by almost 4/10 to set a 33.6. Ferrari Pro, yeah, he's not on a flying lap from the looks of things, not using any battery. Nick, he's down to the first sector. Zach, no, you're down to the first sector. I think everyone's on in laps. Oh, no, Roscoe's up by half a second to the first sector.
Yeah, I was going to say Roscoe.
320 odd kilometers an hour into turn 12. That's a bit higher from some of the other drivers I've seen. They haven't got anywhere near 320. Now, KD, seeing as you've raced a few races on F122 and race quite a bit around here, what would you prefer, high downforce or a low downforce setup?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I think if I remember in the past games, I've used to go with a bit of high downforce setup because of going through the first and third sector, because those are like the key areas I think of the racetrack. Of course, like straight line speed's perfect, obviously, for when you're going down that back straightaway. But going through the cores, I feel like is the most ideal thing you want to do is Roscoe 7. But yeah, no, I kind of prefer more of a high downforce setup, in my opinion, for this one.
Yeah,
or
fair
this sort
enough.
of occasion.
Fair enough. See, I'm a bit clumsier in the corners, so although higher downforce would probably work for me in qualifying, I just wouldn't be able to make full use of it in the race. So I think
that's
having lower wings and having that increased top speed would just allow me to make passes that quite significantly easier during the race. But of course, if you lower the wings for qualifying and compromise your qualifying time, you're starting further back. And that means you've got more work to do during the race. Now, it's not impossible to pass here at Coda. In fact, it's almost quite the opposite, as Hillas has crashed out through the opening sector.
Yep.
So his qualifying is donezo. He's put it in the wall. That's the exit of turn 6. Literally at the first sector split. So I imagine he lost it at turn 6 and put it into the wall on the right-hand side of the circuit. That would be my guess. As Ples will cross the line to set a 33.959. That's a nice recovery after not being able to put down a lap in the previous 15 minutes of this session.
Oh, still the Ford to validate there. He took a bit too much of the entry line at turn 19. Very easy to do as well. Yeah, using all that outside curve entry.
He's going to be tight with time. he should have enough. And his teammate, Keegs, he's out on track, so that's okay. He's not going to compromise his teammate. He begins a flying lap. So has Vengeance. Vengeance currently P2. Can he find time on his teammate? Let's find out. To the first sector, he's up by 56 thousandths of a second. That's enough to retake pole position, but he needs to string together the rest of the lap. Over the crest, around turn 10, and up towards a hairpin of turn 11. 7th gear. Get on the anchors, bring it down to 3rd gear. Will he short shift? Yes, he will. Short shift up to 4th gear as he'll open DRS and head down the back straightaway towards turn 12. Shifting up into top gear. What kind of top speed will we see from the Williams? 204, 306, 310, about 10 kilometers slower compared to Roscoe. So a considerable difference.
Oh, he's down too. He lost time, apparently, in the middle sector.
Looked pretty tidy, so yeah, it wasn't something I picked up on. So yeah, he's lost about a tenth to his relative. So out of the triple right-hander and up towards turns 19 and 20. Chucks it in 5th gear, got the line pretty spot on. Hasn't run too wide on the exit either as he makes his way around the final corner. Vengeance will cross the line to set a 33 flat. He found time again in the 3rd sector, but he lost that extra tenth in the middle of the lap. It could have been a 32 from Vengeance as Plebs has retired in the pit lane. His qualifying is over. What can everyone else pull off?
Yeah, it's still a very good lap, though. So probably most of the time he had was in that final sector, I reckon, is probably the case. Because that's... I feel the final sector is where you make up most of the lap. If that... that's what I think, in my opinion.
Fair enough. As Ferrari Pro makes his way around turn 1, down the hill towards 2. 5th gear, 6th gear. He'll shift it up to 7th as he goes into the S's. Turns 3, 4, into 5. Then the double apex of 6. 5th gear. Will he short shift? The answer is no. He just keeps it in 5th gear, and he's up by 0.2 of a second to the 1st sector. That's a really big improvement from Ferrari Pro as he makes his way over the crest around turn 10 and towards the hairpin of turn 11. He gets on the brakes, brings it down to 2nd gear. Will he short shift? No, he doesn't bother. He just uses all of 2nd, all of 3rd as he makes his way down the back straightaway towards the middle sector split. But first he has to negotiate turn 12. 8th gear, top speed of 310 kilometers an hour, 312 indicated as he goes into 12. 2nd gear on the exit, middle sector says for Ferrari Pro. He's up still by 2.5 tenths, but he needs a pretty mega final sector to try and challenge Vengeance for pole. ACW, meanwhile, crosses the 1st sector split. He's down by 7 thousandths. That's not too bad. He can find time on the rest of the lap. Marcus Costa, meanwhile, crosses the 1st sector split. He's found time, 81 thousandths to the 1st sector. Around the penultimate turn goes Ferrari Pro. Up towards the final corner on the racetrack, turn 20. Brings it down to 3rd gear, back on the accelerator, up towards the line. It's not enough for pole. He lost time in the final sector, stays P4. ACW making his way towards the middle sector split. He'll get hard on the brakes, brings it all the way down to 3rd gear, clips the apex well. Clock says to the middle sector, he's up by 1.5 tenths. He's purple to the middle sector. Costa, he crosses the middle sector split line. He actually lost time to the middle sector, but he's still up overall. ACW makes his way around the triple right-hander, turns 16, 17 and 18, and up towards turn 19. 7th gear, brings it down to 5th and short shifts up to 6th. Then into the final corner, down to 4th gear, clips the apex, gets a nice run on the exit. Does he jump up to pole? Yes, he does. Not by much, though. Can Costa challenge? He'll cross the line. Is it enough for pole? No. He only improves by 25 thousandths of a second. It's not enough to even take 2nd away from his teammate. It's ACW on pole at the moment, and I don't know if anyone can challenge. Roscoe Arm jumps up to P7. And everyone else is either finished or in pit lane. It's ACW on pole.
Yeah, it's spicy. He validated in the final sector, I think. If he would have, that lap he did would have put him ahead of Ferrari Pro by about a couple of tenths.
Ouch.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate.
Look at that. 58,000 separating the top 3, 27 thousandths. Separating the top two, it's ACW who starts from pole, Vengeance from P2, then Marcus Costa third, and Ferrari Pro in fourth. Spicy P5, followed by Pato, Roscoe, Bags, Liddell, Nick, and Plebs rounds out the top 10. Andre P11, followed by Whitey, GeForce Zach, Pump, Keegs, Powersight, Silverfort, Marvelant, and Hillez will start from the very back in 19th position. Whew. There we are.
Even Zach agreed with me in the comments. Apparently, about a high downforce setup would be key for this game.
Yeah, I remember him talking about it after the podium interviews in Tier 1. He and Bailey were discussing what setups to use. Both of them thought that lower downforce would probably work better. But according to some of the time trial setups, yeah, it seems that higher downforce is the way to go around this racetrack. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out during the race, of course. Quali trim, it's a bit obvious that a higher downforce setup would work better. Just because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of time to find in the first and third sectors during qualifying. So you need that high downforce to try and extract that pace during quali. During the race, though, especially if you're stuck in the middle of the pack, if you've got higher downforce, it's going to be a very tall order to make your way through. So the front runners, though, are able to break away. Well, potentially. So,
I mean, what you could do if, like, since obviously park firming conditions, you can trim the front wing. You could try to do that. You know, that way you won't lose out on straight line speed, which I think is somewhat the best solution, but I don't know.
But then again, you really don't want to upset the balance of the car. Like, if your car feels good from qualifying and you upset the balance in the race, you're going to lose a lot of pace. So
yeah, that is true.
That's sort of the trade-off. Yeah, you're faster down the straights, but now you've got a different race car to what you drove in qualifying. So you need to be ready for that. Details,
like
who's starting on what? Ooh, interesting. Okay. So, pole sitter ACW, Vengeance, Marcus Costa, Ferrari Pro, Spicy and Pato. The top six, they're all starting on the hard compound tyre. Roscoe, Bags and Nick, P7, 8 and 9, they're starting on the mediums. And Plebs rounding out the top 10, he's starting on the hard tyre. Andre P11 is starting on mediums. Whitey in P12 is starting on hards. Zach in P13 starting on mediums. Pump in P14 is starting on the hard tyre. Keegs and Powerside both on mediums. Silverford on the hards. Marvelant on the mediums. And Hillez on the hard tyre. So that means we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars on the hards. That means 8 on the mediums. So an interesting mix in terms of strategy. But hards have got the majority over the mediums. Would you do that, KD? In a fully dry race, start on the hard compound tyre, get them out of the way?
Well, it's... I mean, the thing is about starting on the hard tyre, yeah, it's good to get long distance, but here's the other issue. If you, let's say, get a medium runner that comes close to you, the advantage is that he could get the advantage of the undercut, which is quite powerful, I'd say, around Coda, because it's not a very long pit lane. It's very short. You lose like 20-something seconds. Lose about 20 seconds. So, if let's say you're on the hard tire, you start on the hard tire, you go to the mediums. You get a medium runner that's next to you, though, that's pitted for me as goes on the hards. They can have quite a big advantage. However, though, if you are on the hard tire, you go into mediums, you'll have the advantage in terms of pace. So
yeah, thanks to the fresher, softer tyre that you have. So
yeah,
but you need to make sure you fully maximise the pace out of the tyre, so you can redeem for lost time. So
right.
Alrighty, leaders are lined up. We're waiting on the tail enders to line up. Last to line up will be Hillez in P19. As I mentioned earlier, nice healthy sized field, almost a full grid, just one car short. But still, we should have an interesting race as Hillez disqualifies himself there. Everyone's lined up, ready to race. We've got 28 laps in front of us and 10 red lights. And we're underway here in Austin. It's a nice start from Marcus Costa. He's going to make it 3 wide up the hill into turn 1. And he has the inside line into the left-hand hairpin. And he gets in front. A brilliant start from the championship leader. He has taken the lead as they go through turn 2. Ferrari Pro in 3rd. Vengeance down to 4th. Spicy. P5 followed by Bags. Oh, a bit of side-by-side action going into the S's. You don't want to do that, folks. It's almost a death sentence if you go in side-by-side through there. But everyone has gotten through nice and tidily. Coming out to the S's now. No one going forward position. Everyone's just trying to get themselves sorted. Hilles, though, has had a moment. He has spun into the grass, into the wall. That is at the exit of turn 7. But I couldn't see if he had any damage on his car. Hopefully he doesn't. But even with that small stake, he needs a safety car to try and redeem himself. Because he has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, meanwhile, Bags and Spicy, side by side. Bags seems like he's got some legs in the Aston Martin.
Has the inside line, but Spicy's committed around a long way. They're side by side at the exit. Spicy with the inside line. Bags on the medium tyre, so he has more grip at the moment. They're probably up to temperature as well. Hard to say if the hards are up to temperature. Around the hairpin of turn 15. Bags slots in front. Spicy's got to run, and is looking around the outside. Here at the triple right-hander. But Spicy doesn't have the grip to fight. He stays in P6. Andre, Zach, side-by-side into turn 19. Zach gets in front of the Haas as they go into the final corner. Whitey running wide in the Alpine there at turn 19 as well. But it's Costa. A brilliant start. He leads the way from ACW and Ferrari Pro. Both drivers on the second row getting pretty solid starts. The man who's lost out at the start of that race, Vengeance, P2 down to P4. Got a bit of work to do, but the most important thing is that he stays with the top 3. He doesn't drop away. If he can stay with the top 3, give himself a chance to fight, then he'll be there at the end of the race, I'm sure. Bags Liddell on the medium compound tyre, making the most of the grip that he has right now, is closing in on Vengeance. He's coming off a race win at Silverstone. A very interesting race that we had over in the UK, where a safety car literally changed everything. Bags will be hoping for that same kind of luck here at Austin. None of the leaders are quite in a position to attack just yet. Everyone's just sort of minding their own business. As Marvelant has rejoined the session, so obviously he dropped out periodically. He's now back. He's down in 18th position. Around the hairpin.
Yeah, it probably makes sense. Just get through the first couple of laps, see what you can do. Oh, Costa had a bit of tail end there to the right-hander of 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, that does happen.
Like to me.
I remember driving around here in the league race a few weeks ago. That triple right-hander, I don't know why, but the car can just go on you. The car can just snap away and go on you, so you do need to be careful. You can take it flat with a race load of fuel in the back of the car. You just need to be so careful that the game doesn't screw you over and magically loses you some grip. So you do have to be careful. As Costa, he's trying to pull away from ACW at this point. I mean, that would be the most ideal scenario, is to try and break away from those behind, build up a margin and let those behind try and scrap. But ACW is keeping that margin at 6/10, and he'll get DRS down the straightaway after the hairpin of turn 11. Now, he's too far behind Marcus to try and do anything with it, but he will close in as Marcus doesn't get... Well, he actually got a pretty nice run out of the hairpin. It didn't look like it initially. Looked like he lost time coming out. I think he had a moment, but no, he's still getting time on ACW, and Ferrari Pro is closing in. So, hello, speaking of which, down the inside, Roscoe Arm on Spicy. They're side by side on the exit, running over the sausage curves on the outside. Spicy's keeping this fight alive around turn 14, up towards 15. Roscoe Arm has the inside line. He dives it in deep, gets the car in front. Spicy gets a nice run on the exit, but it's not nice enough to try and counter-attack. So Roscoe Arm into P6 with an overtake at turn 15. Now it's down to Roscoe Arm to try and catch up to the leaders, as Silderfort has overtaken Pump for P14. Around the final corner, Roscoe Arm, he is still over a second behind. Only just over a second. 1.2 is the exact margin at the line. You need to try and gain time through the first sector.
It's also lagging for you because he went left and right for me going down that front straightaway.
I think I did notice something on the opening lap. Someone moved around quite a bit towards the front. But, it wouldn't be too surprising if someone's having a connection issue. They're quite common in this game. As with Roscoe, he's almost within a second of those in front. 1.1. He needs to get within that 1 second range. And then we got a huge, and I mean huge, train of cars. There will be everyone except for the bottom two, Marvelant and Hillers. That'll be the size of the train. It's quite a lot. Down the back straightaway. 0.8 extra fuel in ACW's car. I can see there on the steering wheel. So he's got just over 1 lap extra next to his name. I'm guessing then fuel consumption here at Kota isn't too drastic, I would assume, if you're running with so little. Of course, as well, there's a decent chance of a safety car here at Kota. Accidents do happen. There's a couple of traction zones that can really catch you out. This being one of them, the triple right-hander. Another one, as we saw in qualifying, was turn 9 at the exit of the S section. That uphill left-hander is really nasty. It is properly nasty. 19
as well, from what I've noticed with these things, there actually is a bit of a traction zone that you have to be very careful of. Turn 1 is and turn 1 too. Yeah. It's like, for whatever reason, well, actually, I shouldn't say for whatever reason. We know, obviously, from last year's game, those cars were easy through those bits of the track. In this car, with these cars, it's not like that anymore. Or not too much like that anymore, rather.
You have to be so much more gentle on the accelerator. As Bags definitely got a warning there. Gee whiz, he cut all of turn 7. If he didn't get a warning, I'd be quite surprised. That he cut a lot of turn 7 right there. Roscoe hasn't been able to close in. In fact, he is losing time. Not much time, but he is losing time regardless. And look, he's low on battery. You can see the flashing red light at the back of the car. If I bring up telemetry, yeah, 6% battery. He has got nothing left in reserve. He has spent everything to try and catch up. But unfortunately, he hasn't been able to do that. Spicy has just been hovering behind on the hard tyre, knowing that, well, he doesn't have the pace compared to the mediums right now. So he knows if he tries in battle, he'll just lose time to the leaders anyway. You might as well try and let Roscoe get on with it, as he has a moment at the exit of turn 15. Around the triple right-hander, turns 16, 17 and 18. Back towards turn 19. The gap increases to 1.4 seconds. So, yeah, Roscoe's losing time. Yellows are out. It's a Red Bull. It's Silderfort.
Oh, dear. At 18. Where that was.
No wing damage from what I could see. So I'm guessing he just had a spin. He's gone going again. But he's now got a fair bit of work to do. Costa's low on fuel too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw the fuel icon pop up. Yeah, it's been blinking off and on. So he's probably around, I don't know, 0.01. Fuel on target? I'd say. Yeah, because you're not like that if you're not around that. If your fuel's that low.
Yeah.
So yeah. Maybe the fuel consumption is definitely more into the saving end, like you mentioned earlier, more towards the saving end rather than, that it's high fuel consumption.
Well, even then, this game has changed so much over recent time. Like, with Cody's updating every week, the game constantly changes. Like, we had the update where the tyre and temperature and pressure dynamics completely changed. It's
Pato spun.
Yeah, turn 12.
Yep, turn 12.
But yeah, we had that change in the tyre physics, which completely changed everything. We had to run minimum pressures everywhere, and, if you ran anything higher than that, then you were just dealing with terrible tyres. As Spicy gets by Roscoe I think Roscoe just let him through there. Maybe he made a mistake. ACW sets a new fastest lap as well. So, And I think after the most recent update, they made some changes again to the physics, because I have noticed you have been able to run slightly higher than minimum pressures. Definitely at the racetracks that I've done, in both career mode and in league races. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, if the game remained consistent, I'll be able to dish out relative and accurate information. But with the game constantly changing, with the physics model, with the temperature dynamics, it's really tough to gauge what's going on in terms of strategy and in terms of like sort of performance condition and whatnot. So.
It's like Cody just doesn't know what it wants to be.
At times, yeah.
At times, well, it's been like that for as long as we've known this frickin' thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it just doesn't seem as well. It's just not consistent, and let alone being known by AI doesn't really help much of it either.
But yeah, looking at people's MFDs, everyone's running under a lap extra. So yeah. It seems like, yeah, you don't need a great deal of fuel. But I know of some racetracks where the cars absolutely guzzle fuel. Monaco's a great example.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it's considering the fact that it's a short, narrow track. It's a short, narrow track.
Yeah.
You got like, yeah, you don't use, you don't have many straights. You got like a lot of braking zones as well.
A lot of areas where you can lift and coast and short shift. So. But
yeah,
it has the highest fuel rate consumption, I think, of any racetrack on the game. I remember Brazil used to be really bad, and that's changed.
Is another.
Yeah, Zandvoort, yeah.
Yeah, no, Zandvoort's still the same. Well, from what I've noticed, it's a bit the same in terms of its fuel rate.
Oh, that's quite nasty stuff between Pump and Keegs right there. Zach gets a penalty for multiple warnings,
and
so has Whitey. But yeah, Pump and Keegs were trying to go side by side through 3 and 4, and it resulted some wheel-to-wheel fisticuffs. So, and Keegs got the short end of the stick. Fortunately, he didn't spin out, because when you have contact like that, the game, the physics engine, don't like it. It really don't like it, and you can be shafted very quickly. Vengeance going very deep into turn 12. Yellows are out again. It's an Alpine. I think that might have been Whitey making a mistake at turn 11, just briefly bringing out yellows. But no, credit to all of these guys. They've kept it tidy. Like we had that spin with Hilles on the opening lap. Silderfort had a moment. We've had yellows, but no one's put it in the wall. No one's got damage, from what I could tell. No one's made a pit stop. I can check that. Yeah, no one's made a stop.
No, not even Hilles after he made that spin the first lap.
So, everyone's kept it composed in this opening stint of the race. And we still have this 4-car fight at the front, led by Marcus Costa, followed up by ACW, Ferrari Pro, and Vengeance. So, it's essentially a Williams sandwich, the top 4. And Bags is still hovering behind, 1.2 seconds back in the Aston Martin. There he is there in the back of shot. But yeah, those tyres will be progressively falling off. And he doesn't have the DRS benefit because he's too far behind. So he's a bit stuck in no man's land. Too far away from the top 4, but still a fair way in front of everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the main thing. You gotta be within the train. If you don't, well, then it's just pretty much goodbye to them. Pretty much,
yeah. But he's still keeping up, only just, but he's not close enough to get DRS. If he got DRS, maybe that changed things and turned this into a 5-car train, but he hasn't got it, and he's stuck without it.
Probably at one point.
Pato down the inside of Keegs here at turn 12. Simple move there for Pato. Clean down the inside. Keegs left the door open, let the overtake happen. So Pato's into 13th, Silderfort into 15th. Power side is spun. That's why. Down to 17th place now after his moment. Still got yellows out because of him recovering the car.
Yeah. Probably back will probably reckon pit at some point though too. Probably the next couple of laps to get off those mediums into the hards.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how far you can carry those medium compound tyres. It'll be crucial information for any racing drivers watching, getting ready for future races, such as yourself. So.
Yep. Well, that's if my Padres aren't still, if they get eliminated, which hopefully they don't. I know, side note is I'm a baseball fan and I'm a Padre fan too, as you know, but not everyone else obviously knows.
Yeah, fair enough. And,
that's also why I missed Silverstone, was because of that.
Now, looking at gaps, no one's really close enough to battle. This is pretty much it, just the top 4.
Yeah, and then you got everyone just in a Yep, and then it's just everyone's just doing a bit of a train.
Yeah, there's sort of mini trains forming. We got a battle going on between Pump and Andre. Pump gets an easy. It was elementary, the overtake. Down the inside and through he goes into 11th position. He's low on fuel. He's got minus 0.15 fuel. Now it's down to 0.1. Then it's back up. Like it constantly changes corner to corner.
Alright.
He's under. Long story short, he's under. So, fair few drivers running with fairly low fuel for this event. Bags is still running, but you can see now, look at the gap, 1.8 seconds. He's losing time now.
I would have pit it. Yeah. I would have pit it if I was them in that situation, because you're going to keep losing more time.
That's right. That's absolutely right, I agree. When you realise that you no longer have the pace on the tyre, why keep going? You know, just get off them, get onto fresh tyres, try and get some clear air if you can, try and build up some speed again.
No, but, take advantage of the pit lane here because it's short, like I mentioned.
Yeah. So, we'll see what he does at the end of this lap.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost time relative to Spicy, though. It's still about 3.3. It's just shrunk to 3.2 now. So he's got pace relative to those behind, which is probably something he's more critical of at this point. Maybe he realizes that the top 4 is a bit of a tall order. And he is using battery. Look, he's down to single digits, so I reckon he might be pitting this lap. Just based off the battery usage. Yeah. Spicy still holding... Oh, hello. We got...
Zach and Nick down the inside.
Yeah. Simple move for Zach. Through into 9th. Nick let it happen. Just... sat on the outside line, left to the door wide open, and just let Zach through. Nice, clean overtake. A lot of respect being shown. And probably just realising it's lap 11 of a 28 lap race. You don't need to be racing for sheep stations just yet. You don't need to be going at each other. Bags pits. Behold. Yeah, he was close to that bolo, I know.
Yeah. No, I thought he was going to overshoot it, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, you do have to be careful of that wall that separates pit lane and the main straight. Because I've seen a few drivers face plant into that thing.
Oh, so, I've seen that happen quite a few times, believe it or not.
Nick's coming in, set of hards, Keeg. Set of hards as well, so yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how a few drivers... Yeah. It's amazing how many times I've actually seen that happen before. So, Bags comes out of Silver 4. He's got hell of a lot of clean air, as a matter of fact, too. So he can definitely put the hammer down.
Yep, 5.8 seconds to Pato, who isn't a slouch. So that gap, it's not going to shrink ridiculously quickly. So Bags knows he... Oh, yellows are out. It's Keeg spinning at turn 1. Cold tyres. That's what happens on cold tyres. Something that he'll have to be more worried about, I think, is Silderford. He's within a second and he's on tyres that are up to temperature. Bags needs to get his up to temperature. Once he does, he'll be able to find pace on them. But Silderford's within a second. He might be able to close in. He might be able to battle Bags, which isn't a good thing. Bags needs to be in clear air, push hard, try and get time when he can, and see if he can make this undercut work. As Whitey overtakes Powerside. That is for the final point scoring spot of 15th position.
Apologies, I might be sneezing there.
That's alright. It happens. As top 4 still just minding their own business.
And into the pits goes Zach. G4 Zach.
Yep, he'll be pitting off the mediums onto the hard tyre. Andre doing the same as well. Now, looking at telemetry, look at Costa's battery, 87%. 89%. It is ridiculous how much battery Costa can save. And how much pace he still has.
Yeah, it's just because he knows that everyone behind him is probably roughly the same in terms of setup, so he probably just thinks, why do I need to use battery? Just basically gotta keep it tidy, keep it clean, and nothing will happen.
It requires a ridiculous amount of consistency.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You need to hit your marks. Lap on lap, corner by corner, apex by apex. You need to hit your marks. You miss one, you've got tons of battery in reserve to try and fix a mistake. But even so, to save up that much means that you don't make mistakes. ACW, he's got plenty. He's got 60-odd%. Ferrari Pro still has a bit. He has 30. And Vengeance at the back of the train has 65. So the two Williams are in a really solid position when it comes to their battery load. But Costa, he's holding all the cards. He's got track position. He's got clear air. And he's got tons of battery. And he's managing his fuel from what we can tell. So Costa's got all the cards here. It's going to take some effort to try and beat him. ACW just sitting behind. He hasn't been able to attack. And I don't really know if he wants to. Maybe he's trying to play a longer game. I don't know.
I also have noticed that Ferrari has been using up quite a bit of his battery. His access fastest lap. That he's been using quite a bit of his battery in some cases too. So that's, which I don't know why he's doing so, because he's still in the straight. He doesn't really need to do much of anything. Just get through the stint. You don't need to burn the battery.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree.
And I think he's got the... Sorry.
No, go continue.
I was going to say that, I mean, I feel like he's on a similar setup compared to the guys around him. But, yeah, maybe he's just pushing, but he just... probably to say he just wants to get ahead, but you obviously know he can't do that because he's stuck into the train. That's
right. When you're stuck in the third place sort of part of the train, and even behind that, it is next to impossible to pass the car in front. So, as you rightly mentioned, why bother using battery at that point? You know, you might as well just try and save it. And wait, be patient, and try and let the two in front battle if they can. So I think Zach might line up a no, he's too far behind Roscoe. Never mind. I was thinking I was going to see an overtake here. No, I was wrong. But yeah, Ferrari Pro, and he's still using it. Like, he's gone under 30, so he hasn't been conserving what he's got, and there's he's using it again. I think that you need that level of race savviness to realise that there's no need to spend battery at this point as Spicy's in. And he'll move on to the medium tyre. Yeah, that's right. So, pitting in just after the halfway mark at the beginning of lap 15. They're doing half and half on their tyres. Should be doable. But it'll be interesting to see how those mediums are like towards the end of the race. And look at Bags. That undercut worked out pretty well, I'd say. 5.8, 5.9, 6.2. That gap, and that gap's going to increase, by the way, because Spicy needs to get these tyres up to temperature. Now, they'll switch on quicker compared to the hard tyre, for sure. But there'll still be a slight advantage. But Spicy's proven me wrong. The gap's still even at 6.3. So, no, Spicy's doing a great job keeping up the pace, even on cold rubber. But Bags, that undercut has worked. Now, how much has it worked relative to the leaders? That would be the important detail. The gap was about 2 seconds between Vengeance and Bags. Bags has gained about 2 seconds on Spicy, but Spicy didn't have DRS. He's not in the leading train. So it'll be interesting to see how it looks like relative between the top 4 and Bags down in P7. Now, what do the leaders do? Anyone coming in? Any customers? We have 2 cars in.
Two of them.
Interesting.
Ferrari Pro and ACW.
And one of them wasn't the Williams. That's the most interesting bit, I find.
Yeah, that is another thing. The gap right now between the leader and Bags is 19.9 seconds. So this is going to be relatively close, I reckon, once they pit.
Comes back.
Meanwhile, stays in front of Pro. Bags making his way down the main straight.
I think he might have these two.
I think he will as well.
He's going to have the run around the outside. Needs to be committed here. Oh, he's overcommitted, I think. He was way too wide at the entry. He's got... Oh, he's almost tagged Ferrari Pro. Oh, my goodness. He had a run and he almost threw it away. Right there at the exit of turn one. Somehow, some way, kept the car together and somehow didn't hit Ferrari Pro.
Yeah.
But that was his chance to get through. Like, the undercut worked. It has worked. He's a lot closer to these two. But how much has this costed the two Williams drivers? They're doing a longer run. We've seen what the undercut can do.
Oh, and Bags doesn't have DRS either. That mistake has cost him quite a bit.
Yeah.
And also the top two, not top two, two in front of him. I've got DRS and they're going to pass Pato.
Pato overtaken by ACW down the inside. Pato can't do much about that. Now, Ferrari Pro has got pace. Pato will know this, so will he leave the door open for the Ferrari driver? Kind of, sort of, not really. 505 the exit, and Ferrari Pro gets in front. So Costa's in. Race leader Costa is in. This is a pivotal pit stop in this race. Now, ACW, he had to get his tyres up to temperature. He had to overtake Pato. How much time has that cost him relative to the race leader? They're making their way onto the main straightaway now. Costa is leaving pit lane. This will be close. There is ACW up the hill towards turn one. Now remember, Costa has to get those tyres up to temperature. He's going to be vulnerable in the first sector. Around turn two. Up towards the S's now. 2 tenths separating the two cars. Through 3 into 4, then 5. Around the double apex of 6. ACW closes in. He might be able to set up a pass into... Oh, but he understeers massively. Completely missing the apex at turn 7, costing him valuable tenths of a second. Around turn 10, down towards a hairpin of 11. I reckon ACW can set up a pass here. It'll be fairly simple as well.
Oh, but he misses the apex a bit.
He
he
got around, but yeah, that was very interesting into the braking zone. Battery switched on, DRS switched on, but it's not enough. Costa, he has spent a fair bit of his battery. He's down to 52%, but he maintains the race lead. That is the benefit of saving so much battery. He was able to hang on to the lead. Now, what does Vengeance do in this situation? Does he keep going or will he pit? Let's find out.
He's got to pit. He surely has to.
Yep,
well,
he's coming in now.
He's going to. Well, there you go. Interesting. I thought it was going to be the other way around, but I thought maybe Bags would have had a more benefit with the clear air and possibly get a better undercut. Apparently I'm wrong, I guess.
Well, the undercut did work, but the pace of the medium tyre initially is just so great. You can't really overcome it. So.
Oh, Vengeance, look at this. He's going to lose out quite a bit, actually.
Here comes Bags as well. Too far behind to challenge. So.
Yeah, Vengeance has lost out significantly. Look at that.
Yep.
And he has to get those tires up to temp.
Yep. 2.6 seconds is the gap. That overcut hasn't worked. He should have pitted, I think, when ACW and Ferrari Pro pitted. When he saw the two cars in front of him dart off, I think he needed to follow. Staying out was not the correct choice. Because now he's got all this work to do, and he doesn't have DRS. That's probably the most critical thing. Yes, he's got fresher tyres, but he's got no DRS.
So. I could say the same for maybe Bags in some case. When he was still behind these four, he should have pitted maybe on lap 9 or 10 when he was just about to go over a second to the next car. Like, not when he was about 2 seconds behind. Yeah, because that, I felt like, was what cost him a bit.
Now he has Spicy closing in. Pato is separating Bags and Spicy at this point, but Spicy should make mincemeat of Pato here. Significant difference. Down the inside he goes. Kvyat style, but without the contact. He's through into P6. Now,
you gotta be very committed when you do that.
Oh, the train of cars. We got Roscoe Arm, Zach, Players, Pump, not too far behind his neck as well. So we might have a train forming soon. We got a mixture of compounds as well. There's a flashing red light on G4 Zach's car. Gap at 2.1. Vengeance doing all he can to try and catch up. Now, Costa, if he's playing like 7D chess, he could try and, I don't know, back up the train he's leading. Try and push Vengeance a bit closer to the top 3. Bring back his teammate into the... Look at the gap.
Well, look, yeah, it's shrinking. I was going to say, it's shrinking a bit. It shrunk a little bit. Maybe that's exactly what he's doing, just so he can get him back into this fight.
Just not pushing too hard, but pushing hard enough to maintain the lead. I don't know. That's something pretty wild if he is pulling that off, as Plebs overtakes G-Force Zach for P9. Vengeance, he's almost back within a second. So the overcut... Well, initially it didn't work, and it looks like he was going to lose out massively, but... He's gathered it back up, and he's almost within DRS range, as Zach is overtaken by Pump. Pump moves into P10. So both McLarens are now in the top 10 places.
Well, good news for Vengeance is that he's back into this mix again.
Yep.
He's less than a second behind Ferrari Pro.
It's back to a 4-car fight as Roscoe and players scrap for position around the triple right-handers. Roscoe gets a 3-second time penalty.
Yep, cutting 60. That was clearly obvious to me.
Yep. Vengeance sets a new fastest lap, and here comes Plevs down the inside here at the final corner. Gets in front and into P8. And Pump wants to follow.
Yep. And that leaves Roscoe a sitting duck.
Yep.
Pretty much to the two McLarens.
Big old send from Zach down the inside.
Oh my goodness!
He gets in front, only thanks to Roscoe. I'm giving room, but he makes a mistake at the exit of turn 1, which allows Zach to get in front. And Costa's pulled away. Look, the gap's over 1 second between Costa and ACW. Whitey's retired in the pit lane. He's had enough for the day. But ACW does not have DRS. He does not have DRS. Costa has turned it on lap 20. ACW is going to be vulnerable to the cars behind. And ultimately, this will build a gap between P1 and 2. That's the most important detail. Costa will be able to drive away now. This is his race to win. So, unless he makes a mistake, he's got this in the bag. Unless ACW can turn it on. Try and close the gap back up, which he's trying to do. The gap shrinks to just over, and I mean just over 1 second. ACW giving it everything he's got. He's low on battery. He doesn't have many resources. Did he get DRS?
No.
I think the answer is no. So, no DRS here.
Well, remember too, the detection point is at the entry of 19, and he was just over a second by the time he got to the detection point. 45%
for Marcus Costa. Still has a fair bit of battery. ACW, though, driving the wheels off this Mercedes-Benz, is closing the gap to Marcus Costa. He is pushing as hard as he dares to try and make this fight for the lead happen. Costa, though, he's got the resources in hand. He can use them whenever he wants. ACW does not have those resources. Yellows are out. Not quite sure who that is. I think it might be Keegs getting out of the way.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah. Just letting cars through. Yep.
Plebs overtakes Pato, so is Pump.
Yeah, and ACW's back with a DRS. Oh, hello, what's going on here?
Pato, maybe?
Pato's getting out of the... Oh, hello. He had a bit of a moment there with Nick. No, he had a moment coming out of 9, it looked like.
Interesting. No yellow... Well, no virtual safety car, no safety car. 21 laps in. We don't have many laps to go. If we're going to have a safety car, it's going to be a late one. Silderford gets by Pato as well. Out of turn 15. And around the long right-hand triple sweeper. 16, 17 and 18. Then into turns 19 and up towards turn 20. ACW has got himself back into this. It required some good driving, but he's pulled it off. Yellows are out again. It's Pato again. He might have a puncture.
Let's see.
Yeah, he does. He has a rear right puncture.
Ah, rear right puncture. That makes sense.
Costa! Oh, that was lag. That was a humongous amount of lag. Costa, it looked like, made a mistake at turn 1, and he and ACW almost collided. Oh my goodness me. Pato's having a really hard time trying to get back into the pits.
Yeah, 20 laps on those tires. Yeah, at least we know that doesn't work.
Yeah, we know the limit. Or at least the limit for Pato, unfortunately. So
yeah, with this game being so RNG as well with the tires.
Poor Pato, not having a fun time.
Well, he's in the pits. He's good.
Spicy might line up a pass here on Bags. He's got DRS. He's got good tires. He's got some battery to play with as well. Sitting in the slipstream, pulls out of it, draws alongside, and gets in front. He's into P5, not much that Bags can do about that. Big old lock up from both cars there. They go into turn 12, but they get around the corner A-okay. So Spicy into P5, Bags down to P6. Yeah.
And Costa still maintaining that battery.
51%.
51%.
It's a lot of battery.
Crazy.
10% is not a lot of battery, but that's what ACW has right now. He is spending every drop of it to try and keep this fight alive. Ferrari Pro has 19. He's in a better situation compared to ACW, but he's stuck at the back of this train, unable to do anything. It's a similar story with Vengeance, as G4 Zach gets a 3-second time penalty. So, the only two that are capable of fighting are Costa and ACW. Costa's got a huge upper hand, but ACW is driving out of his skin to try and challenge the race leader. They head down the hill towards the hairpin of turn 11, 7th gear, bringing it back down to 3rd. Will he short shift? Yes, he will, as Key gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Closes in thanks to DRS, but he's not harvesting any battery. Costa is maintaining that 50%. So long as he keeps that, he's going to be a tough cookie to pass the final few laps. The guys behind Ferrari Pro and Vengeance need to try something audacious to try and move up. Ferrari Pro's close, but not close enough to attack into the hairpin. Not yet, anyway. Maybe with a few more laps ticked off, that move might become an option to try and move himself into 2nd place. He is, at this stage, the main championship rival to Marcus Costa. He's 39 points behind. He needs to start outscoring Costa. He's not doing that right now in 3rd place, and with Marcus leading the way. Into the hairpin, turn 1. 0.4 of a second separating the top two as they head down the hill. Around turn 2, into the S's. Turns 3, 4, into 5, and around turn 6. Half a second still separating Costa and ACW. Out of 7, into 8. Up and over 9. 5th gear, modulating the throttle nicely there, ACW. There's Costa. Still harvesting battery. 54% next to his name. Maintaining a lovely pace out in front. Using any here? No, doesn't bother. Does not bother.
Yep. Nope. And I think he knows how comfortable he is just because he can just maintain this for a while.
Yep.
For sure.
Around turn 12.
He's there, ACW.
Yeah, he was. He needs to try something. He doesn't have many opportunities. He needs a window to open up. He needs to be committed on the move. But Costa, he does not make mistakes. He hasn't really put a foot wrong from what I could tell. So, around the penultimate turn, turn 19, back up towards turn 20, the gap increases to 0.7 of a second. They head down the main straightaway towards the uphill left-hand hairpin of turn 1. We got 4 laps left in this race. Don't have long to go until the checkered flag. I think maybe with the laps remaining, we might not see a safety car during this event. through the S's. ACW trying to find time. Tyre wear isn't going to be a major factor between these guys, I think, at this stage. As Keys retires in the pit lane, he becomes our second retirement of the event. We're down to 17 cars as Andre overtakes Silverfort for P12. Around the hairpin. Power sight. 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. Here comes Ferrari Pro. He's got a run.
Holy, well, look at that. He's got some speed there.
He does.
Yeah.
Through into second goes Ferrari Pro, and now it's down to him to try and attack the race leader. He's now low on battery. Costa's still got plenty, 43%. He has an opportunity to try and pull away in this sector to try and build a 1-second margin. Can he do it? Around 16, 17, and 18. Up towards the DRS detection zone. Ferrari Pro is still within that critical 1-second range, but he needs to get these final 2 corners spot on. He gets it pretty spot on from what I can certainly tell. Down the main straightaway. It's now lap 26. We've got 3 laps to go. Ferrari Pro closing in down the main straight into turn 1. Second gear on the exit, climbing back up through the gears as they go around turn 2. 6/10 separating the top 2 cars. Through 3, into 4, around 5, into 6, down to 5th gear. Keeps it in 5th as he heads into turn 7. Just over half a second separating the top 2. Exiting turn 8 around 9. Over the crest, a small slide, but he keeps the car straight. Half a second separating the 2 cars. Into the hairpin of turn 11. Costa gets a nice run on the exit, builds time. Ferrari Pro. How long are these legs in the Ferrari? Is he closing in? He's used up all of his battery. 3/10, 2.5 He's not close enough to send.
Yeah, not close enough. But he's got speed in that straight line speed, from what it looks like to me.
Now, ACW, he might be under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, he's got the other Williams. Keeks left, but yeah, that seems like ACW doesn't seem like he's got the pace in some sense. Actually, no, wait, no, I take that back. He actually now is back within DRS range of Ferrari Pro.
Found time
I thought he would
again.
for initially. Yeah.
4.5 separating the top 2 as they head down the main straightaway to begin the penultimate lap. Lap 27 of 28 here at Kota. Ferrari Pro closing in. Not by enough, though, to attack into turn 1, surely. He's close, he goes for it! A big dive bomb down the inside. At the exit, they're side by side. Heading towards turn 2. Costa has the inside line. Ferrari Pro trying to fight around the long way. They're side by side into the S's, but someone has to yield, and that is Ferrari Pro. Moves back into P2. Costa maintains the lead as they go around turn 7 into turn 8. Costa's under pressure. Ferrari Pro's on the attack. Silverfort has spun out at turn 18 as we make our way around turn 10 up towards the hairpin of 11. Will Ferrari Pro go for it? He does! Side by contact between the 2 cars. They exit the hairpin.
Oh, they made contact as well behind. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Vengeance just went for a move there on ACW. He made the mistake. And here comes Costa. No DRS even.
He's using the battery he's got. They make contact wheel to wheel down the straightaway. Ferrari Pro looking around the outside at turn 12 as they head up towards turn 13. Costa has retaken the lead. Vengeance now in 3rd. ACW still hovering behind in 4th position as they head around the hairpin as Pato retires from the session. He's had enough for the day. Around the triple right-hander. Turns 16, 17 and 18. Costa hanging on. Ferrari Pro going for every opportunity available to him as they go around 19. Up towards turn 20. This will end the penultimate lap and begin the final one. Lap 28 of 28. The final 5.5 kilometers of this race. And Ferrari Pro is closing in, using up the battery he's got. There's an AlphaTauri returning to the racetrack. That is Pato, and he's going to block.
Oh, he blocked ACW!
And Vengeance. They both lost time thanks to the AlphaTauri. They're not going to be happy about that. through the opening S section. Half a second separating the top two cars. Ferrari Pro doing all he can to try and catch up to the race leader. Costa doing all he can to try and break away from P2 as they head around turn 9 for the final time. Around turn 10, you can see Ferrari Pro using battery, closing the gap to 0.3 of a second as they go into the hairpin of turn 11. Second gear, will he short shift? Doesn't need to, uses all of second on the exit, switches on the battery. He'll switch on DRS. This might be his last shot at the race lead. Costa's dumping whatever battery he has left, and he's still maintaining the gap to Ferrari Pro as they head into turn 12. Ferrari Pro not close enough to attack into the left-hander. Very few opportunities are left now for Ferrari Pro as they head around turn 13, around turn 14. Can Ferrari Pro send it here at the hairpin? No, he can't. Costa takes a slightly narrower line to cover. Costa gets also a nice run. No, he doesn't! It was lag! It was lag! Oh my goodness me! Costa got a nice run, then lag interfered. But no, he's maintained a 0.3 margin, and all he has to do is get around the final corner in one piece, which he most certainly does. He returns to the top step. He wins the United States Grand Prix. Ferrari Pro in second, and Costa's teammate Vengeance finishes in third. And ACW finishes up in the wall in fourth.
Jeez.
Spicy hangs on to P5 as Bags only 0.2 behind, finishes in P6. Followed by Plebs in 7th, and G4 Zach in 8th, Roscoe Arm 9th. And actually, no, he'll get demoted thanks to the 6 seconds he has. Nick jumps up to P8, Zach down to 9th, Roscoe Arm down to 10th, Pump P11. The two Williams cars are battling. And Hillheads gets in front, not that he'll stay there, thanks to the time penalty. Silverfort will finish in P14. Looking at the gaps, he will stay there as well. Card ghosting as he comes up to the line, and he's actually now going to finish in 15th thanks to him weaving about like that. Yeah, Power Side will actually take that extra point away from him. Bit silly there, not going to lie, but I don't think he really cares at this point. Not the race he was looking for, finishing down in 15th position. And around the final corner goes Marvelin. Our final finisher in 16th position. Well, an interesting conclusion.
Went from what felt like it was going to be just another race, and then it got spicy in the final laps.
Yeah, we noticed that at ACW. We did notice so. That doesn't change the fact that he will return to the top step of the podium. All thanks to... Whoa, what's happened to the podium? Where's it gone?
It's clouds. Oh, now we're back.
Now we're back.
To reality, apparently.
Return to the top step for Marcus Costa as he wins here at Kota. P2 to Ferrari Pro, P3 to Vengeance. Another big points haul for Williams, and another step closer to securing the Constructors' title. So, the unofficial results of the United States Grand Prix. Marcus Costa, your race winner by 0.4 of a second over Ferrari Pro, and completing the podium is Vengeance, making it a 1-3 for Williams. ACW finishes in 4th, followed by Spicy in P5, a solid points haul for them, for Mercedes. Bags P6, followed by Plebs in 7th and Nick in 8th, G4 Zach in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 will be Roscoe Arm. Pump P11, followed by Andre in 12th, Hillers in 13th, and Power Sight in 14th, Silverfort 15th, and Marvelin, our final finisher, in 16th. Retirement for Pato, Keegs, and Whitey, though Pato is classified.
Okay. Nice. That was a nice race, though, actually.
Yeah, it was. I like to think so. 2. But yeah, no, it was certainly an interesting ending that we got.
I agree.
Alrighty. Get out of this lobby. And we'll get to the showcase room. Virtual showroom. That's F2, you dingus. F1. Oh, stop. Please waiting me. Come on. Thank you. Going on to Williams. Once it loads up, there it is. Right, I'll go blue screen, invite the top 3, and we'll have a nice little chat about what happened here at Kota. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Go to add players. Scroll down. I need Costa. I need Vengeance. That should be all of them. Yeesh. Alrighty. Get the top 3 in, we'll have a chat. Found a new glitch, eh, Banana? Didn't get the lights at the start, had to use the actual lights on track. That would have been fun. Oh.
Yes, it is.
That's proper sim stuff, where you have to actually use the lights around you, and not the ones that pop up on your heads-up display. That'll be fun. Oh. Notice a couple of people join. Hello to both of you. Hello to all 3 of you. 3 of you joined.
G'day, g'day.
G'day, g'day.
Hello. Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello, hello, hello. You 3 know the drill. We'll start from 3rd. We'll make our way up. And also thank you for joining us here as well. But we'll start with you, Vengeance. Ended up finishing P3 at the end of that one. At some points we didn't think you were going to finish up in the top 3, but we'll talk about that a bit later. First of all, P2 at the end of qualifying. You had a slightly earlier final run compared to everyone else. Do you feel that may have compromised you in that final lap that you did?
No.
No?
Nah. I'm not sure why I went early, but I don't think it compromised it. No.
Okay. But P2, happy
yeah.
with it?
Yeah, it was good. And the pace, my pace at Coda tends to be very bad. It's not a track that I'm familiar with. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the confidence was quite low coming into this one. But, yeah, I was happy with the P2 quality.
Well done. You proved yourself wrong. P2, and by not much, I might add. I think it was 27 thousandths at the end of qualifying, and about half a tenth separating the top 3. It was not much at all.
Yeah. For a second, I thought I had the pole in the bag, and then obviously ACW went fastest.
Yeah, not by much, but it was just enough. So,
It's high quality.
so no, you proved yourself well, which is good. You started on the front row. Had a decent start relative to ACW, but unfortunately your teammate behind had a better one.
Yeah,
both of you.
I saw Marcus like come up beside me, and he had an absolutely freaking amazing start. It was like a rocket ship. And then in the one, I think I was side by side with ACW, but unfortunately I had to lift, otherwise I would have went into the side of him, which gave ACW a good run, and it dropped me the 4th. So it wasn't a good start, unfortunately. Never been the best of starts, but yeah, this was.
Yep, it does happen.
Yeah, so I was pretty much stuck at that point up until the pit stops, like in that P4, just like managing my tyres, just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we noticed that, and it's just a thing in this game. When you're stuck in those trains towards the back, it's almost impossible to move forward. So you're sort of better off just being conservative, trying to play a longer game, try and save some of your resources, which you did. I think you had the second most amount of battery out of any of the drivers in that top 4. Most was your teammate Marcus, who's quite good at that. So no, you were in a nice position. And then nothing sort of happened until the pit stop period. And
Yeah.
you noticed the two in front of you went in, and you elected to stay out.
So I was debating, like, pitting on that lap 15, but I decided to stay out, and then I saw the two of them come in, and then that's when I realized, oh shit, Marcus is probably gonna come in next lap to cover him off. So yeah, and I think he had a 2-second gap by the end of lap 16, and I decided to stay out one more because I didn't want to get held up in the pit stops.
Yeah,
because obviously teammate. So I stayed out that extra lap and lost about, I think it was about 2 seconds to Ferrari Pro, or was it 3?
Yeah.
But I had to use quite a bit of battery to get back in the train, and yeah, I think I got the fastest lap.
Yeah, you did.
Whilst pushing, yeah.
I
did. And
you were really giving it some to try and get it back to within that 1 second range?
Yeah.
Yep, fair
yeah,
enough.
definitely. And then towards the end I noticed, I think my pace was a bit better compared to like HTW and potentially Ferrari Pro. And I had the better battery, so coming out that right left before the hairpin, the left hand hairpin, I saw ACW got a bad run, and obviously he had no battery, so decided to use it and go for the move, which got me P3.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a good result. I was hoping I could get Ferrari Pro, but he was just too fast.
Fair enough. Well, P3 is nothing
GG
to sniffle at, so...
GG the ACW Ferrari Pro and my teammate Marcus on the win. It's a good race.
Well, I think you could definitely take a few positives out of this, considering you mentioned earlier that this wasn't really a racetrack you were expecting to do well on.
No.
So, a P3
it's always
result,
been a very...
pretty good.
Yeah. I'm happy with it. Could have been more, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, pretty much like what everyone has said before, including ourselves in the com box. It's either you love or you hate Coda, and I mean, I know Lane's not a big fan of it, and I'm not. I'm a big fan of it, but you're not a big fan of it. But it depends how you do pace-wise.
But, KD, have you got anything to ask Vengeance?
Well, do you think maybe staying out a little bit later than, let's say, the cars you were around may have cost you a little bit chance for the win?
Yeah, probably. It probably did. I think. Yeah, it wasn't the best option staying out, but
because it meant that you had to use battery to try and catch up. So you had to spend resources to get it back up. And yeah, battery is a huge factor in this game. So you needed that little bit extra to try and maybe challenge for the top spot, because top two started scrapping it out pretty hard towards the end.
I reckon it was probably a mistake coming in at lap 17, but this was...
It is what it is.
Maybe if I came in with the two guys ahead, maybe I could have gone with the battery I had. But yeah, I think at the best I could have gone is P2. I don't think Marcus was in reach. He was just dominating the whole race.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I'm happy to get the podium. At that point, the pit stops, I thought the best I was going to get was P4. I thought that was it. I was going to be out of the train and fall behind, but yeah, managed to get past ACW, which was solid. But yeah, there needs to be more improvements for future races, especially with my starts, which is really, it's really hindering me.
Fair.
It's a big improvement.
Well, speaking of future races, for your final question, next week we head over to Mexico City. How do you feel? Yeah, not good.
No. Just no.
That's something I can completely agree with. Least favourite track on the game by a lot for me. So
yeah, it's a track.
It's a track.
Really like the track.
Well, best of luck for next week. But for now, congratulations on your podium finish here at Kota. Well done.
Alright, cheers.
We'll move on to P2. Ferrari Pro, you gave it some at the end there to try and get the win, but ultimately you had to come up second best. But all in all, a pretty solid effort from you. Qualifying P4, how was the lap?
I felt like I had a lot more in it, to be honest.
First sector looked good.
Yeah, I seem to have the sector pretty good actually. Especially through the long right-hander right after the first part of the S section. I seemed to gain a lot of time through there, and also the next corner, and then that chicane going up. So I was pretty in tune with that. Then I just lost it all in the final sector, and I was pretty gutted. I was up by like 2 tenths or something.
Could you identify the mistake that you made?
I think it was just locking up, like right into right on the sector 2 split.
Oh, okay.
So I locked up right in that corner.
Yep, and just went straight on, went wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Doesn't take much to ruin the lap, does it?
Oh, it's bloody shocking around here, man. Like it feels good for grip, but just trail braking is so hard.
Yep, fair enough. The P4, second row start, he got a pretty decent start, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I had a good run around the outside of turn 1, and then I was on the inside of turn 2 of Vengeance, so I was pretty happy with that, and the whole race I just basically stuck behind ACW and Marcus, because there's really no intention of battling, even though I wanted to, but like... Yeah. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's just weird, basically. Like, you just have to stay in that train to have the pace. Yep. Me and ACW were running lower wings, and they were running higher. I'm pretty sure. But I just couldn't find a way around until those last couple laps.
But before that, there was a pit stops period. You saw ACW peel off in front of you. Did you follow him, or were you pitting on that lap?
I was following him because I felt we were pretty good actually, just slipstreaming each other, and we had to try go for an undercut, which we nearly got actually, but a bit. But Marcus just got in front, just had the better pit stop and the better in-lap speed there.
Well, we did notice he did spend a fair bit of battery. I think spent about 30% or so.
The whole time, me and ACW were like, "Holy shit, he is so good at managing ERS."
Yeah,
like he didn't Marcus, you did not lose it, bro, until
going into the pit stop phase, I had 93%.
Yeah. Jesus Christ!
Yeah. By the end of it, though, you had 50 odd, if I recall.
Yeah, because I spent some on my in-lab just to make sure, just to secure it.
Yeah.
And I know I could spend it because the guys behind obviously wouldn't be as good. But I'll stop interrupting the interview now.
But no, it was an interesting little period there where the gaps were closed but just weren't quite close enough to battle. So you were back into your 4-car train when Vengeance caught up, which he did quite well catching up actually. But it didn't kick off until about 3-4 laps to go, where you sensed an opportunity to get by ACW.
Yeah, because we were in a party chat, so basically we were trying not to make contact. Otherwise, well, we're good mates anyway, so we wouldn't have got to up each other. But I didn't want to go side by side in any other corner with him. I just mainly wanted to keep the lap times going consistently with Marcus and that, and just saw an opportunity on the main straight and just gunned it past before my ERS.
Yep, fair enough. And then your battle with Costa. You went for any opportunity, regardless of how small it was. You went for it. You certainly went for it.
So when we were going up the turn 1, I was more focused on his car than anything. I just saw him like braking early, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." So I don't know why. I just went up the inside and somehow made it work for. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
It just happens.
Yeah. I've had a lot of those overtakes, like you're just not focusing, and then you just sense an opportunity, like, yeah, stuff it. let's have a go.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Had another crack at turn 11 as well. That resulted in some contact.
Yeah, I had to go for it again because, yeah, it's just how it is. But no, it was good hard racing between us. That's what I like, hard racing. And I mean, if I got in the lead, if I kept that whole lead, I would have gave it back to him because obviously I don't want to make contact with any other driver. But yeah.
But no, it was a interesting scrap, and unfortunately, you ran out of laps to continue attacking. You ultimately finished in second. But, that's nothing to sniff at. You didn't miss out by much. Only 4/10 at the end. So you happy with the result, all in all?
You know, like he's my championship rival, so obviously I'm pretty gutted that he's winning and I'm not.
Yeah.
But that's the way racing is. That's the way how esports sport is and everything. And yeah, I'll take P2. I guess it's better than last week.
Yeah, I'd say so. KD, have you got anything to ask Ferrari Pro?
No, I think not too much. I mean, you pretty much just said everything. But congrats on P2, and well, hopefully maybe you can try to get more of a challenge in the upcoming races. It would be great if you, well, I should say, let me rephrase that. It probably make it interesting if you can actually get some wins racked up.
Yeah, I gotta get back on top of that.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, for your final question, what are your chances next week in Mexico City?
Mexico's been pretty nice to me last year, and that I got the first Race Spec and Elite Series podium there in season 5.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had a pretty nice race last game, so yeah, we'll see what we can do. I haven't driven much Mexico this year. Oh wait, no, I did a league race a couple months back on it, but
Okay.
no, we'll see how we go. It'll be a fun one.
Yep.
Probably some of you would want to talk about though.
Yeah.
That's no, best of luck then for next week. But for now, congratulations in finishing P2, Hirakoto. Well done.
Thank you, Lane KD, and congrats, Marcus, on Vengeance.
Speaking of which, Marcus Costa, welcome back to Victory Lane, mate. Won the United States Grand Prix. Unfortunately, your podium streak came to an end last week, eh?
Yeah, super disappointing. Super disappointed about that.
That race, though, that was just bad luck. That's all that was.
Yeah, just unfortunately time safety car out of my control, but yeah, is what it is.
Oh, you were in control this whole time throughout this race. You were absolutely on it. Qualifying P3. Were you happy with the lap?
Oh no, definitely not. I was quite angry with qualifying because the lap, or my final lap, was actually just a complete bottle job. Like, just didn't gain any time, made a mistake through turn 1. I was already 2.5 tenths down or something along those lines. And obviously I started trying to push the car a bit too hard to gain the time, and then just simply didn't bring it together. But yeah, the quali lap that ended up getting me P3 was my middle lap, or my lap from the middle of the session, which was okay, but considering it's a track I struggle with, and I, to be honest, don't enjoy, and I'm glad it's out of the way. But yeah, I'll certainly take a P3.
Couldn't tell that from how you were driving throughout that race, to be honest. To have two drivers on the podium that do not enjoy the circuit, that's a bit surprising to me. But your poor qualifying, on your standards anyway, your poor qualifying was rectified with a hell of a race start. Talk us through it.
Oh, that was such a fun race start. I felt like a bit of a rocket ship off the start, to be completely honest with you. I just got them warmed up and just got the traction planted, got the power down, clearly quite a bit better than the two cars ahead of me, and managed to slide through. Obviously, I don't know if it was seen on the stream, but I angled myself pointing to in between Vengeance and ACW, hoping that I could just get the traction down, but I managed to do so, and then led through turn 1, and then it appears that the race was pretty much won through there because the top 4 didn't really change much.
No.
Apart from Ferrari Pro and ACW swapping around, and that was about it.
But there was that period though during that sort of pit window period. You saw the 2 guys behind you pit. What were your thoughts at that point?
I was honestly very happy they pitted the lap they did, because I know that the overcut on this game is more or less the preferential strategy.
Yeah.
And obviously I saved up. I was almost full battery when they both pitted. I think I was like 97%. So I spent 50% knowing that I'd charge up about 20-25% back in the pits. And yeah, felt quite confident in just my raw pace. And battery management was obviously quite a bit stronger, because I was informed by my engineer about halfway through the race that ACW was flashing on 10% and I was on about 85% at that time, so I felt quite comfortable.
Yeah, he had to spend a fair bit after the pit stop period to try and keep the battle alive, because you managed to break away just a little bit from those behind you, but then the gaps began to shrink. I think ACW really started to push quite hard to try and close that gap. And yeah, that switch happened between ACW and Ferrari Pro, and you two resumed battle. Ferrari Pro gave his thoughts. What are yours on the battle that took place between you two?
To be completely honest, the first move I did not see coming, but I was able to react. The second move I was honestly quite disappointed by, because it was a bit of a move of desperation and there was contact, and I felt like I was barged out of the way, but I managed to repass him on the straight and get him down into the corner at the end of the straight. But yeah, I was quite frustrated with that move, but obviously managed to hang on to the win, so
yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, he kept it tidy between then and the checkered flag, and yeah, took the win by just over 0.4 of a second. But no, nice feeling returning to the top step after a less than ideal race at Silverstone.
Yeah, certainly, because obviously Japan was a win, then going into Silverstone I was quite confident, finished P10. Coming into here I was not confident at all and got the win, so yeah, sometimes that's just the way it is, but obviously it sounds like there were other cars struggling with this track, as there commonly is. But yeah, GG's to Ferrari Pro on a great battle. Tough one, but a really great battle, and GG's to ACW for just hanging on, just dragging him around the circuit with vengeance. And Ferrari Pro was they certainly kept me on my heels, because I wouldn't say I felt too pressured because I had the battery, but I know that one little mistake and there were 3 cars just all right behind me.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why you should take a bit of extra credit for that win, because yeah, you didn't really put a foot wrong throughout that entire race. You kept it absolutely tidy from what we could see, so really well done on this drive. But KD, have you got anything to ask the race winner?
What is your little secret in terms of how you do that barrier thing? Because that's something I would like to know. You do such an amazing job in terms of that. Like, seriously.
I wouldn't really say there's a secret. I just only use it when it's absolutely vital, because I know that charging it up on this game is quite bad. So yeah, I only really use it when defense is necessary and attacking is necessary. Other than that, I'm just off it. I believe for about 6, 7, maybe 8 laps of the phase before the pit stops, I didn't even use it at all.
That's it. Just being extra mindful. Not much. But it means then you have to compensate by driving spot on. Like, by making small mistakes and sort of opening up the need to use the battery, you have to try and keep those to an absolute minimum. So, and that's what you did today, Marcus, with your drive. Your final question: next week we head over to Mexico City. How do you feel heading into next week?
Same story heading into this track. It's probably my worst track on the game. Yeah. Just behind Kota and Baku. So yeah. I don't want to say I'm not looking forward to it, because I should have a comfortable lead in the championship, but always feel pressured with someone such as Ferrari Pro breathing down my neck. Obviously he's doing a great job this season, and I feel like I can't make any errors. If not, he will be right on my tail. So we'll see how we go next week. Obviously he said it's a strong track for him. So yeah, looking forward to it. Well,
best of luck for next week's race. But for now, congratulations on winning the United States Grand Prix. Well done.
Cheers, Lane. Appreciate it.
But thank you again to all three of you for joining us here for a bit of post-race questions. And a final thank you to you, KD, once again. Your help dearly appreciated, and you can look forward to either Padres game or this race in a few days' time.
Yeah, true.
But no, thank you again for joining me here.
Of course, anytime.
But I think, folks, I'll wrap everything up for the Elite Series this week. So it's time for us to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. My co-commentator, as always, is KD1997. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 10 of the championship at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.